Welcome to another episode of the Nick and Jimmy Show. On today's episode, we have the #1 mortgage specialist with TD Canada, Louis Vouloumanos. Louis, welcome on the show.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. Really appreciate that.
So Louis, tell us how you started, what you do exactly right now, and where do you see yourself as a vision in the next 5 to 10 years?
So I started at TD in 2006. I was fresh out of university, so that was actually my first real job, if you want to call it that. That's when I started. I started doing like entry-level stuff, like opening accounts and helping people with their deposits, etc. Eventually, I started to do mortgages in the branch. I started to do different things in mutual funds, touching a little bit the different areas of the bank. So along that time, I had some pretty good managers, and we were working a lot with credit, and I took an interest in credit. So several years later, about maybe 5 years later, I went into the role of mortgage specialist. Okay, before that, though, there was different roles that I had done. But I realized that I had an interest for mortgages. I had a liking towards it, it's credit. So I got into that. The role itself is independent. So what I do now is I give mortgages out to my own clientele through TD Bank. Our job is a little bit like real estate agents. We get our own clients. We don't get clients from the branches. We develop relationships with realtors, with our clientele, and we basically develop our own business. So my job really is to get mortgages, refinances, purchases, etc. It's pretty basic.
But, okay, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people have the same question. What's the difference between a mortgage broker and a mortgage specialist?
Very good question.
Good question. Very easy, very easy. Mortgage brokers represent all banks. They have a specific pool of lenders. For example, if a broker today can have access to Scotiabank, MCAP, other lenders. I only work with TD. So we're basically almost like a franchisor representing this one bank. So we're a mortgage specialist for TD. There's a mortgage specialist for RBC. So that's the difference. We only represent TD Bank.
And what's a competitive advantage for you? What's the difference between you and other agents/brokers out there?
It becomes more of a niche market. Like we deal with, like my job itself is to work a lot with realtors. Brokers don't deal a lot with realtors, okay? And clients, especially in Quebec or Canada, they like to go directly to the bank. They don't really like dealing with the brokers here. If you go to a broker here, most likely it's because you have a difficult file or there's something in your file that's
high risk.
Yeah, or it's something that makes it a little bit more complex than the regular stuff, right? But in all essence, a lot of people here, I'm sure you guys feel the same way. In Canada, it's not like the US. The US, they always go to mortgage brokers. You want a mortgage, you're going to go see a broker. In Canada, the trend is to go to a specialist, to go directly to the branch or see a specialist. So it's called 7 out of 10 people will probably aim towards that, unless their file is complex and there has something in it that needs to go to a broker.
So why mortgages? Why not another career? Why not the real estate?
Well, I always, for some reason, I had an interest to work at a bank. When I was a young guy, I had went to the bank with my father, and if he's watching, Nick. So he was a young guy. He must have been 26 years old. I was probably 17. So I walked in the bank with my dad, and there was a guy sitting behind a desk. He was a young dude, cool guy. My dad loved him, and he was driving a Jeep, a convertible Jeep. So it really didn't have the image of a typical banker that you would have, like an old man with a gray suit and a briefcase. This guy was young, cool, and I looked at him and I said, man, I want to be like this guy. So that's probably where the interest started for me to be in banking. I always loved working with the public, and I wanted to go to a school and study something. So I said, working with the public, I like finance, I like numbers. The bank would probably be a good fit for me. I wasn't, sure that I was going to be a mortgage broker or a specialist, but it just wound up happening that I took an interest in mortgages.
Because obviously you work a lot, you work many hours.
Yeah.
How, does that affect your home life? How do you balance that out?
For sure, it takes a piece away from you from somewhere, right? Sleep, home life, and etc. But I find that when you're busy, you kind of cherish every hour of the day, and it's all divided for you. You know, if you think about it, before I was this busy, a lot of the time of the day was wasted on doing literally nothing, eating slowly or watching TV. But now that I'm busy, I cut my day in sectors. Like I'm going to work from this hour to this hour. I'm going to go spend time with my kids from this hour to that hour. I'm going to spend time with my wife from this hour to that hour. Then I'm going to sleep. So it gets divided. There's very little time for me to have TV time or like just doing nothing time. That's all reserved for mostly the weekend for me. But I mean, I have to sacrifice somewhere. Sometimes it's sleep. Sometimes it's leisure time. But at the end of the day, the job has to get done, right?
Perfect. So there's many upcoming mortgage brokers, agents, whatever the case is, individuals that just got started in the finance industry. What was your growing pains? How long have you been involved with mortgages? Yeah. And how was your first 2 to 5 years, let's say, for example?
First years are tough. You gotta be able to, like in any business starting off, I think it's a testament of you and your character. You gotta suck it up and just keep going forward because you're gonna get a lot of doors slammed in your face. I had the same door slammed as everybody else. The difference is I continued to fight, excel. I believed in myself, and I had a vision. I had a vision of where I wanted to be. I didn't really have a vision of me being number one in Canada. That kind of just happened. The road itself was difficult, but that's what makes the story nice, right? If it's easy, then everybody will do it. It was a difficult road, but I got a lot. Like I said, I got a lot of doors slammed in my face, but I kept on doing my job, trying to do the simple tasks, right? Returning calls on time, printing documents on time, answering clients, understanding their needs, being sympathetic to what they want, knowing what I'm doing, of course, and the reputation started slowly snowballing. And then, several years later, I'm here. I have a team now. I have a great team. They obviously a lot to do with my success, so thank you guys. But it's been a nice road. It's had its challenges, but when I look back, I'm happy, right?
Did you ever think of quitting? Was there a time where it was like things were so tough, you know what, man, I just want to quit. I can't do this anymore.
Absolutely. There were days, man, when I remember this. There was one year in particular, I got so busy. I was probably making the most money I ever made. And I turned around to my wife and said, I hate this job. I don't want to do it anymore. It's too hard. There's too many things. I needed help. I didn't have a team. I would go into work a full day, work overtime, and still be behind. So that's how I got so busy so fast that I wasn't prepared for it. And it's not one of those jobs where you can just, like a supermarket or hire a grocery boy and tell them to bag the groceries. But when you're doing mortgages, you got to have people that know what they're doing, or else they can cost you more problems. So I had to find people that can really support me, and at the same time, those people are not easy to find. So, it started from that. I hired one person. Then I had Nadine that joined me several years later. She had a lot to do with helping me and supporting me because she knew credit very well. Okay. So I needed someone with a lot of experience. So she came on board, and that was a big help. And then, we grew from there. We have Nadine. Now there's another 2 people added to the team. And, we keep moving forward.
Amazing.
Bravo. Law of association, meaning, in your opinion, how important is it to be surrounded with the right people? Because one of my mentors told me you are who you surround yourself with. What are your thoughts on it?
I agree to an extent, of course. I mean, I still, at the end of the day, I think there's always going to be people that want to strive for more. Now, the right people, I don't know if I want to be around the right people all the time. Sometimes I just want to kick back and relax, right? So it depends. I mean, I don't know. Everybody has a different philosophy on that, but I think if we all came from Chambly, guys, right? So I still have the same friends I had from back then. Some of them have done very well. Others have done average. The other ones have not done so well. And at the end of the day, I want to see all of them. I want to see the guys I grew up with. It gives me makes me feel good to be around the guys that I grew up with. And do I surround myself with them on a professional basis? No, I have other people for that. But when it comes time to family and friends time, it really depends. During your professional timing, I would say that yes, you got to be around the right people, of course. That's a definite yes. But when it comes down to your personal time, then it's up for everybody, whatever makes you happy.
And did you ever have some of your friends or people that trying to pull you down, say, you know what, maybe this is not for you, you're not gonna make it. You know,
Yeah.
did that
Like
ever?
the crabs in the bucket.
Yeah.
I had a lot of people that when I started to grow fast, that were not happy, of course, you know, because I was a threat to them. But you know, at the end of the day, even those people now are friends of mine because I was never really a threat. When I compete for me. I don't compete to hurt anybody else. I don't compete to bring anybody else down. You know, I don't want to squash anybody. I just want to do well for myself and my team and my family. Now, I believe that if you work hard and you really want to make something of yourself, your thoughts should be to better yourself only. Yeah. I don't look what others do. I don't want to hurt others, and I would hope that they don't want to hurt me either. So yeah, there was for sure tough times, but if there were any of that, I didn't really pay much attention to it. You know.
Let's talk about daily activity. One of my mentors told me if you do something, just even if it's 5, 10, 20 calls per day, for 21 days in a row, it becomes a habit. What's your daily activity, for example?
My daily routine in the morning is plan the day. I got to know what I'm doing. So I take out all the files I'm working with, and I say, okay, I'm doing this first, second, third, and then I set the team up. So I say, I need you guys to do this, I need you to do that, etc. So planning is the first thing we do. Because if you don't plan, you just work, you might have missed a few things. So the first thing I do is I plan my day and then I try to execute what I plan. Try. There's always the surprises that come in, right? So
not every day is perfect.
No, of course not. But we do, like, we rarely have complaints. Like, we handle our rushes, of course, but we rarely have complaints. Regardless of the volume that we do, it's very, very rare we'll get a client that'll be unhappy.
Good. And how do you get leads? Do you make calls, referrals, mailing campaign, online marketing?
I still do what I did when I started. Pick up the phone, old school, give somebody a call.
The basics.
The very basics. I don't do anything fancy. No, a lot of people told me, I've never heard of you, like in terms of marketing. I don't market much because most of it's done through word of mouth. Over the years, my name has gotten out there. I've done some social media work, but the majority of our business is all word of mouth. And it works. It really does work because that's all I've done. Right. And we've picked up phones and just called realtors and said, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do. Can I see you for a coffee? I don't even do lunches, put it that way. You know, when you say you go for lunch, I don't do lunches, I do coffee. Nobody wants to sit for an hour with a stranger.
Only with us.
You guys we're doing dinner, so it's different. But we're not strangers. Exactly. So when you meet a stranger,
totally agree.
It's a long hour. When you're meeting a stranger, it's a very long hour when you're having a lunch. But when you have a coffee, it's 10, 15 minutes, straight to the point. He's happy, you're happy, you get to the point, and you're in and out. So I've done that, it works. That's my style, at least.
That's right.
And you said before that the year that you made the most money, that was the year that you want to stop everything.
Yeah.
So that shows that it's all about the teamwork, right? You said it's about having a
Absolutely,
team,
100%.
and you love your team and everything.
Absolutely. The team is huge. I mean, without them, I can't do this, right? Nobody does anything alone. There's no self-made. That doesn't exist to me. So you start on your own, you lead the way, but you need people to support you to get your day-to-day done, right? So essentially, no one's self-made, right? So yeah, of course. When the team is huge, they're hardworking. They believe in this, and it's greater. This what we're doing. We all believe that it's greater than ourselves. We're doing something different. This hasn't been done before. Nobody in Quebec has done numbers like this, and nobody in Quebec has reached $180 million of approvals, right? Wow. And so at the end of the day, we're providing a service, and the service has a number to it. The number to it is this number.
And can I ask a question? Why? Meaning, when I say why 4 years in a row, 3 years in a row for now, that you're number one? Because I heard us saying in the past, you are where you are today because the level of belief in yourself. Yeah. What was your level of belief in yourself from day one?
To be honest with you, I always believed in my work ethic, but I was never really gunning for number one in Canada. I just was gunning to do my job properly. The more stuff that came into, like files,
baby steps.
I wanted to make sure my work was done properly. That's what was my priority. Because my work I was always pushing to get things done properly and on time. Stuff was getting done efficiently. Mm-hmm. And then we started to produce a lot. And the results came in afterwards.
Okay, good.
So really, I believed in my work. I knew that I was hardworking, but I wasn't really gunning the titles. I wasn't gunning for the titles, but they came.
I remember, like, actually, we had a conversation, I think a few weeks ago or something like that, and you said, remember, it was your quote in general, remember where you came from.
Yeah.
How important is that to you?
I think if you whatever you want to call success, right? Because success can have different meanings. I mean, if you're successful in how you feel inside, you gotta remember the friends, the family, the people that were always like there for you, man. You know, for me, it's very important because you kind of represent them too, right? When people root for you or they're like proud of you. We weren't too many guys, for example, from Chambly that went to university, that went to work into banking and stuff like that. And excelled, and my friends are happy for me, and I'm happy that they're happy, and of course my family is super happy. So it's a sense of pride for them that they see somebody that they know, that they grew up with, or they're in the same, in my case, in the same house as my mom, or my friends, that I'm doing well. It's also a pride for them, I would think, because when I see them doing well, I'm happy.
Absolutely.
My friend Mike is doing very well. Mike he's got a couple of car dealerships now. This is a guy that's, done it on his own. So I'm super happy to see stuff like that,
Congrats.
So Louis, let's talk about the real estate market. How is the market right now compared to 5-10 years ago, or where it's going?
I think the government tried to slow it down, but it doesn't seem like it's slowing down, specifically here in Montreal. I mean, prices are going up. There's bidding wars now. West Island is crazy. Montreal Island, there's bidding wars everywhere for housing, even Laval. So the market is still very, very hot. The pricing here in Quebec is cheaper than the rest of Canada. Well, I'm talking about key areas like Toronto and Vancouver. If you go to a smaller town, of course, it's cheaper there. But for a main metropolitan city, we still have cheap prices. The market is very active here. So people are still, we're still busy. I'm actually up from last year. We expected a drop because of the stress test came out on January 1st, right? Mm-hmm. Stress test would affect 1 out of 5 buyers, approximately.
20%.
That's a lot of people.
Big time.
But we're still had an increase year over year from last year in Quebec with our numbers. Okay, so that goes to show you there's still buyers out there. There's still a lot of buyers.
Talking about that, actually, I'm sure a lot of people asked us about fixed or variable.
Yeah. Very good question.
And I know that you're a big fan of the variable.
Yeah. Meaning, if you look at the charts, you'll see that if you ever took variable, always had lower borrowing cost over the long term. But it depends on your chunk of, usually it's a 5-year term, right? Depends where your 5-year term is. There's going to be a time where the rates are high and where you would have been, if you had your variable during that time, maybe it would have been better to take a fixed. But if you're looking at a long-term strategy, you would take a variable, you set up your payments at a higher rate as if it was a fixed. For example, now if you take a 5-year fix, you would get 349. A variable you might get away with, it's like 2.7 or 2.6, okay? If you set your payments at 349 but take 2.7, you're paying off more capital. You're already adjusting yourself against the risk of interest rates going up. Now you're paying off all this capital while the other person is paying off the interest. If you keep doing that, chances are you'll pay off more capital, and the average interest that you'll pay will be much lower than the fixed rate. Now, if you continue that for 25 years, you're winning.
Interesting. And do you think the Montreal market, the Quebec market, is going to be another Toronto, Vancouver?
I hope not, because I don't think that's, for housing purposes, I don't think that's healthy. Because, if our houses skyrocket, essentially what it's doing is creating fake wealth for us, and then your kids will not be able to buy housing. It's going to be unaffordable to them, which means parents were going to have to, help their kids. So that wealth you're accumulating now, you're going to wind up passing it down anyway. So I would hope not. I don't think it's a healthy way to have increases like that. But we're going up. We're just not going to. I doubt we're going to be up as high as Vancouver and Toronto. I really doubt it.
Do you think whatever happened in 2008 or 2009 in the States can happen here?
To that extent, no, I don't think so. I don't even think we're going to come even anywhere near that, because we have things in place that are like shock absorbers protecting us against that. So they have the stress test that's out. Banks are very stable here. We don't have privately owned banks like they did in the States. We have a lot of rules and regulations. We're not even trending towards that, so I don't think that's going to happen. No.
Amazing interview with Louis Vouloumanos. Thank you very much once again for your time, taking time out of your business. We respect you very much. We applaud your success. Keep it up, man. You're a big inspiration to us and many others. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like this content and want more, follow us on social media, Instagram, YouTube, IGTV, IG Live,
IGTV.
IGTV on Instagram, Facebook, The Nick and Jimmy Show, and don't forget to follow Louis Vouloumanos online social media. Thank you very much, and don't forget to share. Thank you.